Why do you paint?
I paint as a matter of fact, to stop thinking.
A sort of meditation.
When I paint, I stop thinking.
About what?
I stop thinking, and I feel that I'm a part of everything outside and inside of me.
Every now and again, awards season throws up a bit of a surprise, nominating a film that I haven't heard of. Usually that's in a single category, and usually that category is Best Original Song. But this year, on checking the Oscars nominations, I was surprised to see Willem Dafoe nominated for Best Actor in a film that I hadn't heard of, At Eternity's Gate. When you're in that situation, you have to ask yourself, why haven't I heard about this film? Is it because it's a small movie that doesn't have the publicity machine engaged around it that awards movies usually have? Is it because I move in the wrong circles, that I don't have friends attending the European Art House Festival circuit to tell me about these things? Or is it just that people did see the film but didn't think enough of it to really remember it or to talk to other people about it? My concerns about At Eternity's Gate were compounded by the fact that it was only nominated for Best Actor, usually a sign that the performances are the only noteworthy thing in the movie. Bohemian Rhapsody fans come at me. Of course, it coming from acclaimed artist-filmmaker Julian Schnabel means that you expect a certain standard of quality. Schnabel's film covers Van Gogh's explosively creative period in Arles, which coincided with his mental breakdown and removal of his ear. Dafoe excels as Vincent, his performance covering interpretations of the man ranging from visionary genius to deeply disturbed and mentally ill. Oscar Isaac as Paul Gauguin fares less well, shouldering the weight of an often too obvious script that seems too concerned with self-consciously examining the philosophy of art to delve into the psychology of anyone other than Vincent. Mads Mikkelsen appears in a brief role as a concerned priest, and Rupert Friend has a few scenes as Theo Van Gogh where he showcases tenderness and emotional intelligence in portraying a man dealing with his brother's illness and talent. The colour scheme of the film is contrasty and saturated, with lots of bright natural light mimicking Van Gogh's search for a new light in Arles. But instead of the painterly vistas that you might see in other artist biopics, like for instance Mike Leigh's Mr. Turner, Schnabel opts for a shaky, roaming, wide-angled camera that pushes into the personal space of the actors on a constant basis, capturing every aspect of their emotions and performances in extreme close-up. Although this can be distracting, especially when the camera is turning sideways or very clearly being roughly put down on the floor, it also serves as a welcome reminder of the sometimes rough and ready nature of Van Gogh's artistic process, which this film focuses heavily on. In fact, Schnabel is only really happy to sit still when he's watching Van Gogh paint, and it's at moments like that where the soundtrack drops out and the almost ASMR-like sound design comes to the fore. Other craft choices in the film are more jarring and questionable, such as repeated use of some kind of prism or split diopter lens that blurs half the image, very strong colour casts that disappear and reappear without obvious rationale, and soundtrack music that stops and starts with long periods of silence in between. But then again, Schnabel has a track record of surprising and unorthodox art, so maybe this is just like his smashed plate paintings, sometimes thought-provoking, but also often intentionally obscure.
I am my paintings.
What do you mean by consolation and hope? You might be asking too much of people.
I'd like to share my vision with people who can't see what I see the way I see.
Yes, but why?
Because my vision is closer to the reality of the world. I can make people feel what it's like to be alive.
Dafoe's performance really anchors the film, which does its best work in examining Van Gogh's mental state. It's that portrait of an artist who can feel his own encroaching madness. It feels real and intimate, and Schnabel's roaming, invasive camera comes into its own in communicating that. Likewise, Schnabel's understanding of Van Gogh as a painter provides special insight for the viewer, and a sequence in which Gauguin and Van Gogh discuss the physical texture of Vincent's paintings is beautifully accomplished. Between these two focuses, it often feels like the roving camera is really Schnabel searching for a context in which to situate Van Gogh with all of his experiences and gifts. Unfortunately, the film's meandering pace and self-conscious script undermine what its clever visuals and excellent lead performance accomplish much more subtly, telling the story of a legendary artist struggling to understand his own mind. That's it from me, but as ever, I'd love to hear more about what you thought about At Eternity's Gate, so let me know in the comments down below. Have a good one, bye for now.